Intro of the game. The story of Death from Above is set around a former and disgraced samurai who seeks vengeance on those who had a hand in the plan of the destruction of his clan. As he was only a child when his family was slaughtered, our protagonist doesn't have a clear mind on the faces and identification of those who were involved, but is all the same determined to find them. It is also revealed at the start of the game that the protagonist was actually amongst those of the clan who was slaughtered, but was brought back from the afterlife and given a mission to do right by his family and take their revenge. The core mechanics of the game are to stealth kill your way through groups of enemies, while also traversing around a village, progressing your way gradually through the hierarchy of enemies. The winning conditions of the game is to successfully defeat each of the 3 samurai, and eventually the 4th and final, the head of the clan. If your character is unsuccessful in their mission, example is defeated in combat by their health dropping from 100 to 0 HP, then the game restarts from the most recent checkpoint. There is a total count of 4 levels in the game, with the last being a boss fight. Here are 10 early examples of how some core mechanics work in early game. So number 1 is sprinting up slopes. You can use the left thumbstick on your controller to move your character left or right, up and down slopes. Number 2 is the same. Number 3 is jumping. So you have number 3 and 4 is both jumping. So you either have the singular jump or you can have a double jump to reach higher places. Jumping against a wall will count as a wall jump. So you jump across a wall, you jump onto a wall, then you slide down, and then as you perfectly time it, you need to jump again and again and again to traverse your way through walls. You can use R and triangle to phase or teleport your way through tough situations. The upside to this is you can make your way easily. The downside is that you only have one per level, one use of this per level. Pressing square from a ledge above an enemy will activate the attack Death from Above, hence the name of the game. Pressing square next to an enemy will swing your katana casually. Holding circle underwater or above water will make your character dive. This is used best for stealth. You can use the left thumbstick, as I said before, to move around, and you can collect souls, which is also the aim of the game. These count as your lives as well, so each soul you collect is another life to your character. To slide down ledges, you use both the left thumbstick and circle at the same time, with the D-pad being to emote. Here is an early game level design. The first level in the game is designed to be very simple, starting the player off on the bottom left side of the screen and working their way up to the top left. The player is expected to use the mechanics of jump and double jump to traverse all their way through platforms. In this level, there are multiple obstacles, including that of 3 different enemies, 2 being armed and 1 unarmed. The player is expected to use the Death from Above attack on the first enemy, but is not forced to, and can instead collect a sword on the platform above to use against them. The player doesn't have to actually attack the other 2 if they do not want to, and can instead bypass them and move on towards the exit. The mechanic of wall jumping is also included in the level, placed in a position where the player collects their first soul. You can, however, jump onto the platform holding the sword and then use double jump to climb above and reach the exit that way. The next section of the level is more challenging, however still kept simple. Wall jumping is essential in this level, as there are multiple traps that are implemented to defeat the player, which wall jumping is used to avoid. This section of the level also introduces the bow and arrow, which, once picked up, is used to shoot at enemies as well as targets that, once hit, activate either a door or a drawbridge that will help collect souls or make progress through the level. A row of enemies have been placed above at the top portion of the area, which creates a challenging obstacle which the player must avoid as they jump their way through the level. Although it is only the first level, harsh challenges have been added from the get-go to test the player's skills from the start, so that they are ready for what continues to come next. Here are 8 mid-game mechanics. First, we have an elevator that, once activated using the level lever, can raise a platform which can be used by the player to reach places not achievable by jumping. The platforms can also move in a horizontal way, however these specific platforms do not require an activation and move from the beginning. Double tapping the X button on the remote will activate double jump, and then, if timed correctly, is paired with the circle button to perform a slam attack. Holding the square button for a brief moment that is longer than a regular attack will activate the charge attack, which, although slower, deals double the damage of a basic or regular attack. The ability to throw rocks is also present, and can be used by holding L1 to open the throwable's wheel and tapping square. This is ideally used in situations to distract enemies and continue stealthily. The second level of the game is much harder than the first. The player must progress using a combination of jumping, sliding, and shooting arrows. A new element has also been implemented, the swing. This is an elevated platform that will swing and move from side to side when the player is on it. The swing is supposed to create a challenge that will require a good amount of balance and timing, as staying on one end will tip the entire platform, to which the player will fall and potentially die. Another element has also been added, the spotlight. This is a beam of light that will move left to right or up and down, which the player must avoid. If caught in its beam, a siren will trigger and the player will fail the level, restarting from the previous checkpoint. Here are 6 new concepts for the endgame. Number 23 shows a shooting pump that shoots projectiles in a straight formation, which the player must avoid. Getting hit by one of these projectiles will not kill the player, but instead knock them back, which may result in falling from a ledge and dying. 24 shows a swinging log, which the player must avoid, but can also climb and swing upon. Next there are buzzsaws, which, if touched, results in an immediate death. The same goes for the crusher, which is the rising and lowering platform shown in figure 26. Here is the endgame level design. The ending level consists of a variety of almost all traps and elements in the game. There are a total of 3 stages in the level, each stage being harder than the previous. The first stage is a battle of timing, where the player must dodge 3 different types of traps at once. Although challenging, there are ways to bypass this challenge, including jumping on the swinging logs and swinging yourself over to the other side. However, too much time spent on top of the log will break the strings and the log will fall, so the player must be careful. The second part of the level is similar to the first, however this time double jumping must be used to progress. Swinging from the log and jumping while avoiding projectiles will help end the level. However, there is an optional objective, which is to shoot an arrow at the target, which will activate the gate at the bottom of the level, revealing a soul. At the end of this section, once reached, the player will teleport from the building and continue on to the final section. The final section is the ultimate battle. Here, we have several obstacles being used at the same time to overwhelm the player. There is a soul located at the bottom of the level, which is guarded by 3 separate shooting pumps. There is a second soul located in the top right of the screen, which is much easier to get to, but will also require good timing. Spikes have been added on each wall next to the exit, which is marked by a finish line. This is challenging as the player is not able to touch the left side at all and is required to make a perfect jump to the bottom of the right wall, just below the spikes, to be able to get through.